What's up, PageMotor fans? It's time for another update on the platform that is changing your website future. All right, so I've been quiet for a little while, but I've been hard at work getting this thing ready because I'm eager to do the way too early beta launch of PageMotor. I want to get it into your hands. I want you to play with this thing. I want you to try and break it. I want you to try and build a little site with it. And I want to push the boundaries of this thing so we can get it cooking as fast as possible. All right, so let me just show you first some of the stuff I've been working on, and then we'll talk about the upcoming beta release. All right, so this is just so in previous videos, I've had plenty to show you and demonstrate, but part of the problem, or one of the big problems, is that it was wonky when you installed it onto your server. Like, I had to go through quite a few steps to actually get everything to work. So one of the things I've been working on is this install routine so that when you install it and set up one config file, which is just a couple values similar to the WordPress configuration file, wp-config.php, similar to that file. You just input a couple of values like about your database, and then boom, when you visit your website, PageMotor is going to set everything up for you. It's going to set up all your assets. It's going to set up your user content folder. It's going to set up some initial data that the system needs to run. If you've been watching my videos for the last 9 months or so, you've heard me talk about seed data. PageMotor needs seed data to be able to do everything, to run the admin, to run all your templates within your themes, all that stuff. PageMotor needs seed data or else nothing is there. So when you install PageMotor on your server and then you visit your site for the first time, it's going to install all of that seed data, and it's just going to work the first time you load it up, which is beautiful. So that all works now, and so that way when you install it on your on your server and you go visit your site, you're going to have something like this generic homepage, and then the admin side is going to work, which is great. In addition to that, when you install PageMotor and attempt to run the admin, we're looking at the admin here. When you attempt to run the admin for the first time, you're not going to have a user in the system. Okay, and it's not really cool for me to set up a user in advance. I don't want to set up an automatic user named admin. That's generic, and that gives would-be hackers a way to guess what your admin username is and then try to pound on your login page. Not cool. So what I did is I created a little sequence that is going to run when you run your admin page for the first time. So you're going to install PageMotor, visit your website, it's going to set everything up, then you're going to go visit the admin URL, yoursite.com/admin. And when you run that for the first time, it's going to ask you to set up an admin user. So you're going to input your preferred username, the email address for that, you're going to pick your password, and then boom, you're going to be off to the races. So as soon as you do that, it's going to send you over to the admin, and you're going to have your first admin user registered, and you're going to be able to use the admin. So that's really sweet. That was a cool little sequence I had to put together there. And also, if you're logged out, you go to a new browser or whatever, or your cookie expires. When you visit /admin, yoursite.com/admin, there's a login page now. So there is a login system. It's pretty rudimentary. Like I don't even have user management yet. You don't see eventually there'll be a box here for users. There is no user management box yet. So, that's coming in the future. So right now you can't add another user. All you can do initially when you first install PageMotor is set up that first admin user who's going to have, super user capabilities. And there you go. But that actually took quite a bit of work as well. But that is all working now. So there's the skeleton of the user system. And I've done some, thinking ahead here about how this is all going to work. It looks pretty good. I'm enjoying what we've got so far. I've done a bunch of little UI refinements. So if we visit the theme options page, design options are now first. That's kind of like the first thing people are going to want to mess with. And then in the theme editor, I've changed the UI a little bit. I dressed it up. I think it's nicer now. It looks pretty good to me. I've also done some work with the buttons and colors and all this stuff to really get everything cooking. Liking all of this. The images tab doesn't work yet. It pulls up an iframe and it runs the 404 template for the admin, which is funny. And then we've got our data manager. That does not work yet. Doesn't matter. It will be working soon enough. But so you can the template editor works. You can do that. The CSS editor for the theme totally works. Got CSS includes and mix-ins. This is super powerful. You're really not going to need to mess with this, but if you want to, you can. But the theme that you receive that runs on the front end, this guy is going to be fully outfitted. It's going to have everything you need already. And the admin theme actually is responsible for all of this stuff. Like it's intense. So I wouldn't mess with that at all. So one thing I did, and I just recently did this, is I didn't want all of the potential controls to show here on the admin. So like if you're just a regular user, you don't really want access to the admin theme. You could break a lot of things by doing that. It's just like too much. You're too much behind the scenes. You're too much behind the curtain. You're messing with the Wizard of Oz. Not a great idea. So it would be nice if we could prevent that stuff from displaying for most users. And so that's what we have now. Under site settings here, we've got a site title, which auto-populates when you first install your site. But then you can go in here and change it to whatever you want. And then we've got this admin management checkbox. It says enable management of admin content, plugins, and themes. But it only applies to admin users. Obviously, we only have one type of user right now in admin. But if we had basic users, they would not be able to see this. If we had, there's another type of user who can access the admin. It's called a producer. This is somebody who's like producing content for your website, maybe working on your design, something like that. Producers would not be able to see this either. Under admin management. So this applies only to admins, and we'll go back over here, and now we can see that there's the admin content manager has been added, and also the ability to look at your admin theme settings. You can change design options. You can do all the stuff you can do with the front end theme. You can do that with the admin theme as well. There's some plugins that apply directly to this. There's editable elements in the admin theme, like this footer. This thing isn't really working. I mean, it works, but it's not pretty. It's not outfitted for the PageMotor environment. But this text that appears in the footer, that's editable. Boom. So stuff like that. There's no pages in the admin where you can view this stuff yet. The site title, it's not linked. It doesn't even appear in the admin. So not everything is germane to this environment. But you've got a theme editor for the admin, just like you've got a theme editor for the front end. It just has different templates with different stuff running. There's certain plugins that produce boxes of HTML output that only apply to the admin theme. So those are available here. So that's pretty cool. But like I said, we really don't, most users, we don't really want them messing with this. So this option allows you to disambiguate that stuff. But I'll show you the admin content. So you've got content types in the admin. Home page, 404 page, modular content. You've got the same thing for the front end content. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, they're both themes. They're both really the same thing. The front end and the admin side are the same thing. The admin side just has a specialty purpose of running the admin, so it does some extra stuff. But like the guts are really all the same. The general workings are the same. That is, that kind of is a way for you. Like it's a tell that I'm using, object-oriented programming here. Both things are the same thing. They're just different expressions of the same basic idea. So anyway, we're going to go to site settings. So by default, this is not going to be enabled. So your default admin environment is going to be this, really clean. You can edit your content. You can mess with your plugin settings. And you can mess with your theme settings. And then you have those couple site options to mess with. So it's super simple. There's like nothing to interface with. I mean, there is a lot if you want to dig in here, but it's pretty basic. You want to create content, you go to content. Create a page, do the page. This is really cool. This new, you can set things to be a draft. You can trash items and then delete them. This is really nice. I obviously don't have content set up on this little environment to show you, but you'll be able to play with this. This is going to be great. And so there it is. And I've also changed the breadcrumb trail up here. So it's just this PageMotor icon that I created in the last few weeks. I did that with SVG. So SVG is a scalable vector graphics format. And you can create SVGs with like using points on a plot, if you will. And it's pretty cool. I've been playing with that. And I was eager to make a PageMotor logo. I couldn't find an SVG that I liked. That was free for commercial use. And so I dug into the format a little bit and built my own. So this PageMotor logo is a little SVG that I built, and now it's rocking here in the admin, and it does a little turn when it's an active link and you mouse over it. I think it's a pretty cool little touch. So PageMotor getting some personality here with that little logo and color scheme. So there it is. Now let's talk about the beta. I am going out of town so it's June 28th, day I'm filming this. I'm going out of town the first week of July. So I don't want to drop it before then. Like I could probably drop it in like 2 days on Monday or Tuesday. So it's like 2 to 3 days from now. I could do that, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to be available to talk to people. So I'm going to drop it the following week. So I think that's the week of like July 7 through 11. So sometime that week, probably more like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in there, I'm going to drop the official beta release of PageMotor. Now, this is not going to be free. Eventually, PageMotor software will be free. The base PageMotor software will be free eventually, but it is not ready for prime time yet. It's not going to be for some time. So this beta release is going to be paid. I'm going to figure out exactly the pricing and explain everything so you'll know like what am I getting? What's this going to look like in the future? If I don't pay now and wait for later, can I save a bunch of money? This kind of thing. The answer is going to be no. But I want to spell that out for you so you know exactly what you're getting. So this isn't some big like voodoo thing. Like, oh, I'll just, hope for the best. Hope Chris does me right. Now I want to have that all set out for you beforehand so you understand exactly what you're doing here. I did set up the forums. So the PageMotor forums are set up and ready to roll. I might have to do a little content massaging here. But initially, so because the software is in flux, like I've got to go through and do a bunch of data manipulation before I can do the beta. So I've got quite a bit of work left to do to tidy everything up. But part of the deal is because I'm making those big changes that affect the database, I can't go to the PageMotor website and start adding a bunch of content like documentation and things like that to it. So for now, at least through this first beta period, there might be another beta period a few months from now. Through this first beta period, I'm going to be putting all the content that we're going to be using to learn and use the software. I'm going to be putting it all in the forums. So that's why this is super handy right now. But in the future, these forums are going to be like the most official point of interaction with the PageMotor software. And what I'm thinking is that this will be the skin in the game part of the program. You can use PageMotor for free, but if you want to be a part of the community and contribute and actually have others entertain your ideas as if they are serious, if you want to be taken seriously, then you'll need to be in the PageMotor forums. This will not be free. This is the skin in the game part of the deal. You are, you're paying, you're saying, hey, I want to be a part of this community. This matters enough to me that I'm willing to pony up some cash to do it. And that's, it's one signal of legitimacy. That creates this transaction of mutual respect, which is great. That's what we want. We want a legitimate community, not a bunch of people chirping who have done nothing and paid nothing, who are just saying like, oh, I want it to be like this or that, put your money where your mouth is, get in the game, and let's do this. This isn't just about complaining and hoping somebody hears you and does the work for you. This is about getting in here and doing it. And being a part of it in this way, it's going to be, this is going to be a great forum for, saying, okay, how do I do this? Okay, this is how we do this. So a lot of instruction, a lot of how-to, a lot of guidance, and you're going to be amazed with how easy it is to do what you want with PageMotor. Even stuff that you think right now, like, oh my God, this sounds really technical, really complicated. No, it's going to be so freaking easy. It's going to be unreal. So the forums are going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to interacting with everybody there. But as part of the beta, you're going to get access to the forums. This initial beta, anyone who is a part of it, there might be 2 price points for this beta, maybe 3, but probably not. No matter what level you choose here, you're going to get lifetime access to these forums. That's going to be a pretty big value because it's going to be something like, I don't know. I've been waffling back and forth here, but it's at least $27 a year. Could be as high as $67 a year. I know Apple does for the Apple SDK developers kit for building stuff on iOS. It's at least $100 a year. Obviously, that's iOS. That's super legitimate. PageMotor's nothing yet. It costs money to be a part of a community, but PageMotor is going to be way more helpful than iOS. You're paying to be a part of something, but it's not like you've got people on call helping you out and showing you how to do things, right? That's just to get in the door and say, hey, I want to, be on this playground. So it'll be less than Apple SDK, but carrying some annual cost. So, you might want to be a free PageMotor user in the future, but if you want to be a part of the forums, like I said, that's gonna carry its own cost. And then there's gonna be the eCommerce plugin, which I think is sort of like an essential building block of websites. That's gonna carry a cost. I'm now thinking, so at some level of access to the beta, you're gonna get the eCom plugin for free. Now that's pretty open-ended, okay? Because eCom plugin kind of to me means two different things now. At least two different things, possibly three. So the at least two different things are, if you're running like a Shopify type store or a WooCommerce type store, that is a store with physical inventory or quasi-physical inventory where you've got to keep stock of things and you're creating products in that way and lots of products, lots of product pages. That's going to be the highest price point e-commerce plugin, and it may well even be a completely different e-commerce plugin. So I call that like retail. That is not the initial focus for this e-com. It's not. The initial focus and the other type of e-commerce that I'm more targeting initially, it's going to be information style e-commerce. So if you want to sell access to something, to pages on your website, access to forums like these, if you'll have your website, somebody buys through your website, and then they also get access to protected private forums like the PageMotor forums that you see here. If you do that kind of thing, that is more information e-commerce. So having somebody pay and then be able to download a PDF or something that you created or a course, things like that. Think along those lines. You're selling information, you're selling access, and possibly even like membership to a community, those types of things. So information, access, community, that is the initial e-com focus. And it'll be integrated with, PayPal, Stripe, and then we can expand the integrations from there. But I just want to draw that distinction now so that there's no, I paid for the beta, but I don't get, lifetime access to this incredibly complex and complicated WooCommerce Shopify competitor. Okay. It's not that. If I can, whatever it ends up being here, I'm going to delineate it very clearly and describe it clearly so you will know what you're getting. But like I said, the first beta access is going to give you lifetime access to that, information product, e-commerce solution, not some big retail, e-com solution. And then the third type of e-commerce I think is worth mentioning is something like a cashier. Think about cashier functionality. So let's say you run like a doctor's office or a law firm or something like this. You need customers to pay you after you render a service. So there could be an even lighter weight solution that just offers invoicing and cashier-like functionality, which I'm kind of intrigued by this. I think that's a pretty good solution, especially for small businesses. You've got your website, but you also have this ability to create invoices on the fly and charge customers and collect payment right there and wrap it all up. And potentially even use an SMTP provider to send out transactional emails like a receipt. That kind of thing, that strikes me as being pretty nice. Because right now retailers are paying, like Square or something, they've got terminal solutions. And those can be pretty costly. So I'll be looking at that eventually. That's not my wheelhouse, so I'm not going to be focused on that right away. But it is something I'm looking at because I think it's possible to have a tighter integration like with the website and the e-com solution for, retailers and certain types of businesses. And maybe there's some savings to be had there. And I can persuade people to use PageMotor to fill in that gap instead of, them being forced to pay these four-figure deals to some of these other providers for their terminals and all that stuff. Anyhow, there it is for now. So the week of July 7 through 11 is when I'm going to drop the PageMotor beta. That's going to be just under the 9-month mark of me working on this software. So for context, it took 22 months for me, 23 months for me to build and ship Thesis 2 from 2010 to 2012. That was the biggest software undertaking I had worked on at the time. And it took just short of 2 years, and it was a big deal. And for this to be at this stage at the 9-month mark is incredible. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really looking forward to this. But PageMotor is really nice. It is really buttoned up. It is really good. So stay tuned for that. The beta drops July 7 through 11. Be sure to get on the email list if you're not already. You can go to peersodified.com to do that. Let's try that real quick. Personified.com. You can scroll down a little bit, and here's the box where you can get on the email list. So I'll put a link to this in the description so you can get on the email list so you won't miss a thing. But anyway, there it is. PageMotor's coming. The beta's coming in basically 2 weeks. So I'll see you then. Take care.